Hey everyone. So in this video, we're going to be talking about Electrum bullets. And as you guys probably know, Electrum bullets got buffed in the last patch, and the technology now allows slingers to get one divine damage. I feel like this has completely changed the way this unit is being used. The unit itself was always considered to be an anti-archer, right? You're using it for throwing axemen, chariots, arcus, essentially any unit that's ranged, you want to make some slingers to counter them. But with the advent of this technology and the updates to this technology, slingers can now be used versus almost everything. Think of it as a toxicate, but in some cases, a lot better than a toxicate. So, in this video, I'm going to give you my opinions on it. And note that I think the technology is completely busted, but there have been others that think it's completely fine. I'm also going to go through their opinions as well. So I went and I'd asked many top players. I said, hey, do you guys think this is broken or am I overreacting here? We're going to explore their opinions as well. But before I do that, let's just look at the technology and let's look at some scenarios. In the first scenario, you guys saw that I was using slingers without the Ta technology, and they got easily beaten by Hippias and Toxicate. Now you can argue, okay, obviously they're going to lose. You didn't micro them; they were attacking the horsemen. However, the thing that I want to show you guys is in the second scenario, I did the exact same thing. The slingers were attacking the Hippias, and they completely destroyed the Greek army. So what does that mean? That means that now you don't even need to micro the slinger. The slinger can be a backline DPS unit and it can attack almost anything and still be very usable, right? I gave them both one unique technology each to make it fair. In the first scenario, I gave the spears, the serpent spear. And in the second scenario, I took away the serpent spear and I just gave the Ta technology, which is electrum bullets. In both scenarios, the Toxicate are have access to Sunray, which is going to give you 10% extra damage. So you guys can see, I mean, there's so many different scenarios you can test, and I've done it as well independently. I'm not sure how many of you guys watched my stream, but I did it on my stream. At the end of the stream, we took user opinions. We asked the chat, what do you guys want to see? And in most scenarios, this has been a very strong composition. Just adding tons of slingers to the mix have been completely destroying most compositions. And on top of that, if you're playing in an Egyptian war and you don't have access to Ta technologies, Migdol units are going to get completely annihilated by this. So it's not even going to be fair. It's not even going to be close. So also another avenue that's available to raw and set players is they can also go Sekhmet, which Sekhmet gives you Slings of the Sun. Now Slings of the Sun will make these already super strong slingers have bonus damage versus infantry. What that means is slingers not only counter every archer in the game, better than every other counter archer in the game, but now they can do almost as well as the Toxicate versus infantry. So they do well, like they obliterate infantry, they obliterate archers, and they do well versus cavalry units too because they have divine damage. So essentially, they're somewhat of a super unit in this sense. Like if you look at this video, this little clip, you can see that the slingers are almost at the same level as the Toxicate, which is kind of crazy. So let's talk a little bit about the matchups. So in some matchups, I feel like this just the fact that having the slinger this strong is just going to completely destroy the entire matchup. And one of those matchups is ISIS versus Ra or Set. Now ISIS has to go Migdol units for the most part because you can't beat this composition, slingers in general, you can't beat them with just barracks units. They're going to counter the spearmen, they're going to counter the axemen, and obviously they're going to counter other slingers because you have a stronger version of the slinger. So what do you make? Well, usually you're going to make camels and chariots, right? You're going to make camels so you can counter the slingers, and you're going to make chariots because the chariots are going to have to counter the spearmen that are on the front line. However, this is just going to straight up lose. There's no way that this composition beats slinger spear. So then eventually, if your opponent's massing slingers, you're gonna be like, okay, let's add in some, pure camels. Just skip the chariots altogether. But the issue is eventually the raw or the set player is gonna go into Horus, have access to the Horus spearmen, and Horus spearmen are gonna shred the camels like butter. So you're going to be running into a lot of problems in that matchup. I don't even see how you win that. The only way that I can think that ISIS wins in that matchup is either by hitting such a strong timing with AE and such a strong timing with Meteor and Valley of the Kings. So you're really going to have to abuse those things in order to win this. However, if the game drags on, there's literally no chance that ISIS can beat this composition. And not to mention the fact that Ancestors and Eclipse, I think, is getting nerfed, and Meteor is also getting nerfed, and Valley of the Kings is getting nerfed. So this matchup is like literally it's going to be a 90 to 10 matchup. Now, the other matchups are pretty bad as well. I've talked to a lot of Norse players. They're saying it's broken. Greeks seem to have some tools against this, but Atlantean players are also saying the same thing that it's just really, really hard to beat this composition. And this composition is kind of wild because slingers are actually countering siege units now too. Because the fact that they have divine damage lets them bypass the high pierce armor that the siege weapons have. Like for example, in one of my games, I made some siege towers to kind of absorb some of the damage from the slingers. However, the slingers completely annihilated those siege towers. You guys can see it from the intro clip yourself. Um, when you have 40, 50 slingers is shooting at a siege tower, it's going to go down pretty fast. Even myth units like Scorpion Men are going to get shredded because it bypasses all their armor. Essentially, I just don't think this is a balanced upgrade. Now, it's easy for me to say one thing, maybe I'm biased, maybe I don't have all the facts. So, what I did instead this time around is I went and I pulled the top players of the community. So here are the opinions of the top players that I pulled. I spoke with a lot of other players aside from these players as well, and most people are against this upgrade. Now, there's always two sides of a coin. So, there's a ton of people that are against it, but there are some people that are for the upgrade as well. So we're going to look at both of them right now. Nine Racing Cat, top 15 player. He plays Norse, he plays Atlantean, he plays a little bit of Egyptian and Greek as well. He's saying that the unit is too good. It's essentially a Toxite, but it also does its role, which is an anti-archer unit, better than almost any other unit in the game at the moment. So it's essentially too good of a unit to have just with this upgrade. The Mist is kind of saying the same thing. One divine damage is way too much, and it also stacks with their respective multipliers. It's kind of the same thing what Nyan is saying. Now, Orc once again is saying the same thing. The Slinger is supposed to be an anti-archer unit, but now it's basically an anti-everything unit. Obviously, it's not super effective versus like high pierce armor units like the cavalry and high HP units, but it's still very, very good. Orc is saying that you have a chariot archer for a reason. Chariot archer is supposed to be good versus these type of units, not the slinger. The slinger is only supposed to be used to counter and other archers or other ranged units. So essentially, this is a unit that's overperforming. Soup is saying it's terrible to play against. Yeah, sure, you can counter them with cavalry, but the fact that if you just mix in a couple more more spearmen, then the cavalry are essentially useless at that point. And then when you get Horus, which is kind of the same thing I was telling you guys, there's really no counter to this composition. You're going to shred everything. And not only that, as I said, the slingers are going to take down siege weapons and myth units because of the divine damage. So it's just everyone's saying that everyone that I've talked to in terms of the people that are against this upgrade are saying kind of the same thing. Now, what's the other side of the story, right? The other side is the people that are for this upgrade. The people that are for this upgrade are Chemo, Avely, and Boyd. You got to remember, the people that are against this upgrade is Nyan, who doesn't really play Egyptian as his main. The Mista honestly can play every civ, so he doesn't have any bias. Orc, I think Orc kind of plays every civ as well. I've seen him play Raw too, so it's not really a super biased player, but I would say that he is somewhat on the Norse side. As far as I can remember, he's a heavy Norse player, and Soup is a heavy Norse player as well, right? The people that are for it are mostly Egyptian players. Chemo is an Egyptian main. Avely is an Egyptian main. Boy plays a lot of set. So these are the players that are saying it's fine. Now, if you read some of them, like let's look at Chemo. He's saying yes, it's busted. He agrees, but he's saying that Greek also have busted things in their arsenal. He's saying the Greek have Prodromos, they have Peltis. With ISIS, you have Meteor, AE, Valley of the Kings. What do you have with Ra? You don't have much, so that's why he's saying it's justification enough to have this upgrade because you need some broken things with Ra as well and some with Set, right? Then he went on a little bit of a spiel, which I thought was kind of funny. Saying the Rock Giant has, a billion HP. You gotta, and then he has like a myth unit that shoots you like Varus and League of Legends, a Valkyrie that's faster than Usain Bolt. So he just went down a little bit of a spiel there. So I had to kind of edit a lot of his stuff out. Avely is saying, yes, he agrees they're extremely good with the upgrade, but they do have a counter, which is essentially cavalry. He also doesn't like how the entire power bundle is with that one upgrade. He's saying that if you can take it away from this upgrade, which is Electrum Bullets, and give Egyptians other things, maybe buff their chariots or whatnot, which I speak to him in private as well, then he's okay with it. And I'm kind of in the same level of thinking with Avely. I think me and him think very similar, and I kind of agree with him to a point, to an extent rather. Now, Boy is saying slingers are very, very strong, but he's casted a lot of games and he sees them lose. So I do have to respect that. Boyd has casted a ton of games. He's seen this being used over and over and over again, and he's seeing people beat it as well. So essentially, he has a lot of validity to his point, right? But he's also saying that, when I spoke to him, is like you can't look at things in a vacuum. He's saying that sure that, Ptah has electron bullets, but Bast has Sacred Cats, which gives you way better economy. And you got to look at it from a gameplay perspective rather than just a raw testing perspective. So everyone has something valid to say. In my opinion, and to end off this conversation, I would say this. I think that Egyptians definitely need something. I've been saying it for before the launch of the game. I have been saying this, right? In the public up, sorry, in the beta version, I've said it. I've said it in the preview as well. I think Egyptians definitely need something, but I don't think this is fair. I think they should get a buff in other areas. I think a chariot archer is maybe worth looking at, or other things from the civ as well, as just as a whole. I don't think that this over buffing one unit is the way to go. I definitely think this needs a nerf, and I'm sure it's going to get a nerf. I really hope it does. But anyways, uh, I think that's essentially my point with Electrum Bullets. I think it's a little bit too good at what it does, and I think it took a lot. There's a lot of testing that I've actually done behind the scenes, which I haven't put into the video, but take my word for it, it does very, very good versus almost every composition in the game. All right, guys. So I'm kind of losing my voice at this point. Like I've been sick for the last few days, and now my throat is. It's hard to actually just cast this video. Let's just put it that way. So I'm gonna end it off a little bit faster than I normally do. I just want to go over the fact that I am actually like taking opinions in their Discord channel as well. So you can see that I started up this discussion about Electrum Bullets before I posted this video, just to see what everyone thinks. You can see that most people seem to think it's broken as well. Like you see, you're all here saying it's completely broken. There's a reason every Raw on the ladder is spamming them. You know, F-Dart is also saying the same thing. It's a very, very good player. And just want to invite everyone, if you guys are interested in joining this community, we have a lot of top players in here. We have amazing admins who have actually set everything up for me, which is why I want to kind of showcase this as well. I want to give them a big shout out, especially Beehide. Beehide set up all of these channels for me. There's Zeus, Hades. Every denomination has their own channel. We have a feedback channel. We have content ideas. There's an experts only section for anyone that's top 100 or so. And I'm just looking to grow this channel so we can get everyone in one spot and talk about the game. And you know if you guys are looking for people to play with, you have looking for a group, which I think is pretty fairly active as well. If you guys want to post your replays, I'm sure people are going to actually watch the replays, give you some good tips and feedback as well. So I just feel like it's going in a very good direction. People are helping each other. Everyone is learning and growing from it. So if you guys are interested, I'm going to put the link in the description. So definitely come by. Um, yeah. And thank you very much for watching this video. If you guys don't mind doing me a favor and just liking it if you actually enjoyed it, click the thumbs down if you didn't, no problem. Yeah. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye.